Now, class, open up to page 34 of your ancient literature textbooks. We will be studying the adventures of King Arthur, arguably one of the linchpins of the literature canon. We've last week studied the time King Arthur met a bunch of football players. That was, one of the most influential stories of the time. We're now going to study King Arthur's crusade against health food, and the illustrations look a lot like She-Ra, and the villain is named Kale because they didn't like superfoods.
Oh, you mean Princess Starla, the famous Arthurian princess?
Okay. Our European exchange students is full of jokes. We call her Gwenevere around here, unless I have it backwards.
I'm sorry. Do you expect me to believe that Merlin looked like a really tall man in a yellow robe in the previous study, and in this he's a short, fat guy? I find this stretching credibility. Where is the Arthurian canon?
Usually I don't have to tap the independent thought button this many times for help to arrive.
Like, if there's one thing this show did not have, it was independent thought, I can assure you. So we watched Princess, depending on where you live, the one that we watched was called Princess Gwenevere, and was it the Jewel Riders?
Yes, the Jewel Riders.
And I think there's Princess Starla and the Jewel Riders. I remembered it being Princess Starla, and I live in England, but apparently it was Princess Gwenevere in England. I remember it being Starla off the top of my head. I may be wrong. Perhaps I've just gone mad, and I'm just used to thinking of it as
don't they call her Starla regardless of what you're watching?
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. They must just change the theme song.
Yeah. So I'm looking at apparently known outside of North America as Starla in the Jewel Riders. So you were exposed to Starla. It's Gwenevere in America.
Oh, that's an interesting. I wouldn't have thought they would have changed it for America, because Gwenevere would be the proper one. I would have thought they'd given us like the traditional one, and you guys would have gotten the Starla one, because you might not have known who Gwenevere was, maybe. Right. I don't know.
Well, I almost wonder if Europe is just more want to do stuff with like the literary character of Gwenevere, and there was another Gwenevere property going like around the UK around that time. So maybe between either rights or marketing issues persisted, and they just made it Starla there. I wonder if it was something like that.
Again, I find it difficult to believe that they were concerned about any rights issues, because I have never, in all the time we have done this series, seen such fragrant disregards for copyright infringement, because everything in this show is taken from something else. You've got the main characters are, for all intents and purposes, She-Ra and the Princess's Power. Then you've got the horses are My Little Pony, more or less. Yeah. The villain is Catra from She-Ra.
I was gonna say she reminds me of Scarlet Witch.
Oh yeah, she's got a similar design.
Yeah.
If you look at like the classic 80s Catra, it's very similar. It's like the exact same color scheme, hairstyle. The only thing she hasn't got is some cat ears. Who else is in this? Archimedes, the owl, looks like the owl from Sword in the Stone, whose name escapes me. Was he also called Archimedes?
He isn't. I think that is Archimedes.
Is that a Disney thing, or is it just a legend thing?
I'm willing to. I think it is an Arthurian legend thing, because I can think of a few. Yeah. So he's called Archimedes, and I believe Archimedes is a character in Arthurian lore, because I can think of a few different birds called Archimedes as if named after such a mixture.
That's fine. I will forgive them that. But the next one is they the fucking circle of life turns up at the end, and they all start singing it. They're all like da 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 da, and I was like, what the hell is happening here? And then the song is called "The Circle of Friends," and I was like, this is outrageous. This is someone should have stopped this when they had the chance. What a sick joke.
It is with great pleasure that I present the Sunstone to my daughter Gwenevere, Princess of Avalon.
Come and sing our song. Gather round, together we'll grow strong.
In a world of magic, we all need someone to count on.
Yeah. Let's build a circle of friends. We'll pledge our love till the end. Just tell the world a new day is coming.
Well, I also you brought up that the ponies are quite literally the My Little Ponies, but also they go an extra step in that I think it's Starla's cat is a talking sidekick called Spike, which is literally lifted right out of My Little Pony.
Yes, I was going to say this, and there is also a character who looks like Spike, who's like an ancillary
Confusingly,
character.
every time she referred to Spike, I was expecting that particular like lizard creature.
Yes.
Which there's like the bumbling talking ones that hang out with the villain, and then I think there's like another floating around with the good guys.
Yeah. There's a lot of sidekicks in this. There's a lot of characters in this.
And and they all like blended together. I can barely fucking remember. It's like it's all mush to me.
Nobody has any personality traits in this except for I would argue Princess Starla herself and her horse, whose name escapes me, who is teased mercilessly by the other horses. When you go and get a ball, you bird, you stupid bird. It's like watching the gang make fun of Dee in Always Sunny. That's what it felt like, with equal levels of malice.
I slipped.
Slipped? What kind of unicorn are you?
Unicorns don't have wings.
She must be a bird.
No, I am a unicorn. Just different, that's all.
Why don't you just fly down there and get our ball back, bird?
Shit, deflect. Shut up, bird.
So yeah, cartoon. We're reviewing a cartoon in case we forgot.
It's pretty bland, this one. There's not very much. Every character is more or less the same person. And there's what is the story of this? Princess Starla gets a jewel at a certain point, a birthday, I want to say, and then she has to go out and bond with a horse. The other characters have already got horses that they bond with. I don't know their names. There's who's in this? Merlin is in this. Merlin shows up.
I want to say it took me like a solid 15 minutes to realize this was like a King Arthur thing.
It springs it upon you, really, because it's if it didn't have Merlin, you wouldn't know, I don't think.
Right. Well, it's like Gwenevere is an Arthurian character, and then sure. I think they introduced Merlin, and it took me like a solid few minutes. And do they refer to it as what's the land that they live within?
I don't know.
I think once Archimedes, Merlin, and Gwenevere, who's called Starla the whole time, I think, sans the title of the actual show. It wasn't until they were all in the same room that I was like, oh, this is a Arthurian like thing. Because it's so absurdly like candy-ish that I didn't even fucking grasp.
It is, yeah. It's got such a dense lore as well, because they're throwing bits of lore at you. Like, these are the jewels. This is an alternate dimension where sometimes people go. This is the Queen's sister. She's the villain. And she used to be tutored by Merlin back in the day, but she's not anymore because Merlin said she wasn't fit to have a jewel, but she wants a jewel. Now she's back. This is the princess's friends. They're already star riders or whatever, but they don't like the princess because she hasn't got a horse. This is the princess's horse. And it's like, it takes so long to introduce you to all the separate
Mhm.
elements that are going on that by the time like the episode had ended, it felt like I'd watched about 50 episodes because
I know.
they pack like the entire story in, and you could be forgiven for thinking that this was all they made because I don't think there's anywhere else for the story to go.
I don't see. Yeah. Well, so it's my understanding the jewels like help you talk to animals because like the first thing that happens is that Kale, the villain, which like bad name first of all, she gets a jewel and can talk to her like weird mammalian lizard henchman.
Yes, but
Um,
they don't move their mouths when they speak. None of the animals in this move their mouths when they speak. They
so
speak
it's like
via
a
telepathy.
telepathic link and a
Yes.
cost saving measure, I imagine.
That is very true. Yes.
Keep away from me!
Why don't you just fly away? Give me the key! Ah! You horrid beast!
It's weird. It's a very strange thing. I feel like I'm watching a David Lynch film because it's just echoing thoughts all the time, and you don't know who's speaking, which is very distracting. And they do something at the start where the unicorns' horns are glowing when they speak, but then they forget to do that in most of the scenes afterwards. So I'm like, who's saying this? What character is which? And unless the camera focuses on the character, well, a character points at them and says their name, you've got no
Right.
chance. There's just, you do not have a clue who's talking.
Man, I'd feel very self-conscious if I was in a world like I feel like the whole telepathic thing is very intrusive because I'm never directly on the same wavelength of everyone else. If I was one of these horses, I'd be such a pariah because everyone would be like talking about how to stop Kale, and I'm just over in the corner like, what was the name of that boss from Street Fighter 3? Oh, this is gonna bother me all day. Like,
Do you think it works both ways and the horses just pick up like anti-horse sentiment once in a while?
right.
They're just in a crowd of people and someone just like, that horse stinks. What did you say?
Could be any of us. We're all horses after all. Um,
This brings us to my favorite character of the episode, man in the audience who gasps. And if you focus on the final celebration scene where the princess is like, no, I cannot accept this jewel, the camera cuts to the audience and there's this little guy in orange and his jaw just like drops. And it's one of the best gasps I've ever seen animated. And it's a fantastic bit of animation, and that's everything I have to say about Princess Starla and the Moon Riders, whatever
Can't
they're
wait for you
called.
to show
Jewel
that.
Riders.
I can't wait for you to show that in the cut of this episode because I was like so tuned out by that point that I don't think I caught that.
Did you not
Roll
wake
clip.
up for the Circle of Friends? The amazing song, the amazing plagiarized song we got at the end. It's as though someone was playing The Circle of Life and they were like, they'll never know. Disney aren't going to watch this crap.
No one's gonna
And then
watch this.
halfway
Like,
through, like a Disney executive walked in and they were like, hang on, I know that tune. And they were like, oh, quickly change it to another song. And they just started playing something else. And it was like, it's The Circle of Friends. Oh, okay. Okay.
man, like in the fucking, we could make a whole playlist of just like meaningless animate songs, and this like pretty much rivals Hands and Hands and Hands and Hands.
Hands and Hands is a masterpiece compared to what this was. Give me a hand and I'll give you a hand. That makes one hand and two hands and three. Two hands can be just
I'm
like
shocked.
me.
That was 2 Thanksgivings ago. I'm shocked you remember. Jesus Christ.
It was our least worst Thanksgiving episode. Of course, I remember which one it was.
Oh my.
What
Oh.
else happens in this? Really ungraceful shots of animals falling over with such majesty. There's a wonderful bit where a horse jumps off a cliff and just slams into the ground, and it's very embarrassing. And then something, I think a cat like walks into something later on and just like passes out. And it's just lots of goofy animal violence.
Were there toys with this? Did it last that long? Because I imagine
I believe there
stylable animal hair would be like a good draw.
I want to say that you are completely correct. Let me look it up, and I will tell you if you are. What's the show called again?
Well,
Experience the magic, share the adventure, feel the power of Jewel Power.
We've got Jewel Power, Princess Gwenevere, and the Jewel Riders.
Led by Princess Gwenevere and her enchanted friend Sunstar, Jewel Riders Fallon and Tamara must use Jewel Power to defend Merlin's magical kingdom of Avalon from the dark forces of destruction.
Our magic jewels give us the power. Jewel Power!
Join Princess Gwenevere and Jewel Riders Fallon and Tamara.
They're dazzling.
When you put their masks down, their magical jewels glow.
Now I've got Jewel Power.
Princess Gwenevere, a magic jewel has fallen into evil hands.
By the magic of the Sunstone.
By the magic of the Moonstone. By the magic of the Heartstone.
Jewel Power.
I'm
Evil Lady Kale, and I've captured Sunstar. Let's power up our jewels to save her.
We've got Jewel Power.
Sunstar is free.
And the Jewel Power is yours, only with...
Princess Gwenevere and the Jewel Riders.
Now with purchase, find a free magic jewel in specially marked packages.
My own magic jewel. Jewel Power.
In
There
the
you go.
second season of this, apparently, Morgana of Arthurian legend fame takes over as the villain.
that sound
I thought you were just gonna be like, that sounds terrible.
I mean,
Maybe
have
she
no idea.
crosses over from King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, and it's just the
Oh.
same character. They just have to port her around to different Arthurian shows of the 90s.
golly, yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, what if just like the footballers like guest starred, just tackling over the horses?
That's the crossover we all deserved.
Golly, I have no idea. I don't even know. Like, well, does Kale have like Arthurian roots? Like,
So that it doesn't appear that way. However, I have
Oh,
found the Lady
uh.
Kale entry on the Princess Gwenevere. I apologize. Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders wiki. And allow me to read you the first line, which has obviously been done by Lady Kale herself.
Let's hear it.
Lady Kale, addressed as Aunt Kale by Princess Gwenevere, is one of the main characters and antagonists of the first season of Princess Gwenevere and the Jewel Riders, as well as the secondary villainess of the second season.
Hmm.
Kale is sexy and dangerous, beautiful
Uh,
but deadly. She is graceful and sinuous, like a snake.
I fucking love when clearly the one person who loves a character is the only one who cares enough to edit their Wikipedia article.
It's when you find, have you come across this weird trend where someone uses about 50 different words to describe a character?
Mhm.
Have you ever seen this? And someone will be like, Tommy is vindictive, menacing, threatening, serious, baleful, sinister, amusing, funny, honorable, and evil. And like none of the words, none of it will go together, but someone will have just sat there and gone, oh, like, I guess they are kind of honorable in that episode, and just like hammered out or every single adjective they can think of. You know, for a certainty, the person who wrote that Lady Kale article is going to be listening to this episode because there's not
Oh,
much, there ain't much
Well, they're the
Princess
only ones
Starla
searching for
content.
the show, I think.
Let's get him on and interview him.
There's a slightly here we go. There's a slightly viral description of Peg from Goof Troop on I just found it. Appearance and personality. Peg is an unbearably beautiful, very attractive, and insanely sexy female cat.
God. Some of them are some psychopaths edit these. I think I sent you this one before, and it was the Miss Trunchbull wiki entry. And
Yeah, I
someone had put, there was like a whole section that just said fate. And they just put like, Miss Trunchbull's fate is unknown, but it is possible that she went to prison for abusing children or killed herself. And it was, what? Yeah, she either
Didn't we
stood
also
trial
find,
for her
like, was it
crimes or she
Madam-
fucking killed herself.
Was it also like Madame Medusa had like this weirdly detailed?
I was just getting the Madame Medusa one up to read to you because it's really unpleasant. It's like, God, someone really had. This is what it says about Madame Medusa under the on the Disney Wiki under the section physical appearance. Madame Medusa bears a hideous appearance of which she seemingly remains unaware. Same. She has excess makeup, sagging breasts, green eyes with artificial eyelashes, and wild, fiery hair to suit her fiery personality.
Golly.
Good God. What is wrong with you people?
Oh. And didn't Milk Cal like say he based Medusa on his ex-wife or something?
Did he? Did you think he's writing the wiki entries as well?
Yeah, he is.
He's really annoyed. I'm gonna write the fucking
Although
wiki
not
entry.
shown in the film. Although not shown in the film, I get a suspicion Madame Medusa gets paid too much alimony.
I wonder who is nearly cast as Madame Medusa. Have they put that on the wiki?
Have we ever talked about that on air? How like every IMDb page for a Disney villain has this insane list of actors that were apparently almost considered, but like
it's
to
like,
dubious result.
some of them like not even alive at the time the film was made.
Tom Holland was considered to be Hades. Okay, give me a fucking break.
I think the longest one ever is the one for Scar. And it's like every single working actor of the 90s. Like John Goodman, I think you sent me the Peacemaker clip where he's rattling off all those people, and that was what it was like. Eugene Levy?
Mario? Super Mario?
They just go on forever. It's like, what psychopath? I think the weirdest one is the Newt Gunray one, where someone's just gone through like all these A-list actors who are considered for the role of Newt Gunray. I think Robert De Niro's one of them.
That would...
Like, imagine like a conversation between George Lucas and Robert De Niro. I want you to be in the new Star Wars movie, Robert. Oh, who you having me play, George? Am I playing a Jedi or something? No, you're playing this reptilian businessman. You're only doing the voice. You're not in. I don't know why George just turned into Kermit, but like, imagine the insanity of such a conversation.
I don't know if Robert De Niro would even give him that much the time of day. He'd be like, "No, what do you?
What the
I want
fuck
you to
is
be in a
Star
Star-
Wars?"
What the fuck? What are you talking about? No."
Absolute
Golly.
madness.
I think like there could be record that they like called that actor and they said no. That doesn't mean they're like notably in the running for that role.
And even if they were, like, how do these people know? I think
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
literally, it's the one, I reckon it's the same person doing every entry. And he just sits there with his like fan casts and is like, I'm going to put this on the wiki and make it official. And he just lists off everyone that he thinks should have played a character.
Well, as if fucking what are their names? Who are the director? It's always one of the who's the duo they directed Hercules. Like I feel like it always tends to happen around their movies. Clements and like Ron Clements is on. Like he would ever reveal that he was like, yeah, we offered it to Jack Nicholson and Tim Curry and Steve Buscemi, and all of them turned us down. Doesn't that make us look great? Like you don't like just share that.
Yeah. It's like, did they turn you down, or did you think they weren't good enough? Like, who are you giving these lists of people to? Here's a list of all the actors we thought sucked. Now fetch me Jonathan Freeman. Like,
I do believe there is the Jack Nicholson was supposed to be Hades, and I think he was he scored so hard on the merchandise for Joker that Disney movie was like peanuts to him at that point, which is kind of a legendary story, honestly.
I think, but yeah, wasn't the story that like Nicholson never really needed to work again? Like he'd done so well
No.
his merchandising deal, he could have happily retired after Batman.
Right. He wanted like he made some like brilliant feather touch move on Joker merchandise that just like fucking made him want for nothing ever again. Now he just does whatever like weird indie projects he wants to.
Would you like to know who was would you like to know who was considered for the role of Jafar?
Sure.
It was Patrick Stewart, Tim Curry, Kelsey Grammer, John Hurt, Christopher Lloyd, and Ian McKellen. And then for the role of Scar, it's pretty much exactly the same people, apparently. Malcolm McDowell, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Rickman. Oh, that's it. There's only 4 on this one. This guy must have run out of actors.
Fucking Kelsey Grammer Jafar is something else. And then you just need David Hyde Pierce to be Iago. Like, I don't see how you could have.
But actually, Kelsey Grammer's Jafar would have been an all right choice. I would have been okay with that. That could have worked.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Princess, whatever the fuck her name is, and
Who gives a shit?
the princesses of the moon. What was it? What was this thing called again? Anyway,
Princess Gwenevere and the Jewel Rider.
that doesn't sound like a real show to me. So let's wrap this up.
You suggested this as if it was something you'd seen before, and like I'm still not sure this is like a real show. I think this is like a hallucination you like manifested into my mind, and now we just shared this weird dream.
I didn't mention this, but I do remember this show because I think my sister used to watch it. And now that I watch it again, I don't think she did. I think I've just seen the intro. What my sister used to watch was a show called Sky Dancers, which was completely different to this, but was around at the same time. So I apologize unreservedly. Would you recommend Princess Starla and the Moon Riders? Would you recommend it to the Disney executive that accidentally walked in earlier that I envisioned? Would you recommend it to him?
I would recommend it to him and say every single one of these actors would be perfect to play Judge Claude Frollo. And you need to list that you at least considered all of them on the Disney Wiki shortly after Frollo's description, that he is sumptuous, sexy, vile, deceptive, curvaceous, sinister.
Does he bear a hideous appearance?
Bears a hideous appearance.
Does he have sagging breasts? Ian McKellen must feel terrible. He's turned down from every single Disney villain role. I bet he went up for Madame Medusa as well, and they were like, "No."
When he was like probably like 40 at the time.
Yes. I will play Madame Medusa for you. No, but maybe you should come back when we do it like a lion character or something. I'll bear that in mind. And he comes back in like 1993, and he's like, "I'm back as requested. I will be doing Scar." No, we've got Jeremy Irons now, and to be honest, John Hurt, Patrick Stewart, Kelsey Grammer,
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell's still here. He's in the studio. He's reading for every other role we've got. Tim Curry has never left. He's just voicing whoever we have going spare.
Yeah, we want to put Malcolm McDowell in a Disney movie so kids will be like, "Oh, what else is he in?" And watch A Clockwork Orange. And be like,
You can go and watch Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys.
Oh yeah.
That's why he didn't get the role of Scar. He was too busy on Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys.
Valid. I'd call that valid.
Very valid. Well,
Yeah.
see you next time when we watch something that we can stomach
And remember.
and remember.